Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to Cruise Shop Save. I'm Melissa. We are the platform that provides all the cruise port information about the ports of call, and we're very proud to be the person that does that. We've got all the cruise port maps, cruise port information, advice on tours, advice on the little insider secrets that not a lot of people know. Why do we know that? Well, because we provided that service for over 27 years on major cruise lines, and now we bring the information directly to you. If you want to head over to any of our platforms, the information is below. So this week I'm interviewing a very special guest, my travel agent, Dan. But before that, I just want to say that we are hopefully streaming live into Instagram. Fingers crossed. We are streaming live into Instagram and also streaming live into the Facebook group. Sometimes I can see the comments here on this platform. Hi, Janice. Okay, Janice is here. Hi, Janice. I can see you. Thank you for your comment. If anyone's listening, just pop in the chat and say hi. Give us, let us know you can hear us and you can see us. We could do with a little bit of sound checking. I just want to give you some stats, though. I want to say I'm super grateful to everyone who's watched and for all your comments. They really help because it allows me to invite more special guests on the topics that you're interested in and what's important to you when it comes to your cruise. So in the last 28 days, we have had 967 views on YouTube. Thank you so much. We've had 8 more of you subscribe, so I really appreciate that because I know you can watch the videos without subscribing, and I get that. That's fine. And we've had 35.5 hours of watch time. This is in 28 days. Hi, how are you? Nice to see you. Thank you for watching. Really appreciate it. We encourage questions. So without further ado, let me bring on my special guest. This is Dan. Hi, Dan. How are you?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
I'm doing well. I hear there's a heat wave over there.
Yeah, it's part of Central Texas living. We gotta get used to it, but it's gonna be about 102, 103 today. That's 38 Celsius. So pretty
Gosh, that's
rough.
hot. That is hot. Yeah, it's hard to be out in that all day. Um, I lived in Vegas for a little while, and I remember coming out my front door, my eyeballs used to just like dry up, and I'd be like this.
Yeah,
Oh my God, that's hot.
it's that feeling when you're opening the oven to check on the turkey, and it's just that big rush of
Yes,
heat.
when you
It's
open your
it's
front
rough.
door. Yeah. So, first of all, you own a travel agency called Travel with Brigitte, and we've spoken before many times, and you've helped a lot of people who've asked me about cruises. I'm not a cruise booking expert, but you are, and you've helped a
Yeah.
lot of my friends. But what I would like to talk about tonight, and it's a topic that I'm really passionate about, especially after what happened to me recently, is we can start with travel insurance.
Mhm.
And you and I have had lots of conversations about it. It's something that is starting to be at the top of people's agenda when they are booking cruises and booking to travel. Are you still finding that it's important to people, or are you having to remind people to get this?
Honestly, for the most part, I'm still having to remind and tell people.
Really?
They see the option in the cruise booking portals, but usually they think, oh well, I'm not going to cancel, it's fine. Like it
Mm.
doesn't matter if you think you're going to cancel or not. And realistically, as far as I'm concerned, canceling and losing your money is the least of your worries.
Mhm.
You lose your cruise money, that's a bummer, a couple $1,000. I mean, that's impactful. But if you're comparing that to getting an injury in a foreign country, and now
Yeah.
you're in a hospital and you need tens of thousands of dollars cash out of pocket to
Mhm.
start treatment, then that's substantially bigger of a problem. And that's what people don't seem to consider. They think, oh well, I've already cleared my calendar, I'm definitely going. Sure,
Right.
you're definitely going, but what if a storm delays your flight? Or what if you have an
Mhm.
emergency right beforehand? A family member who passes the week before your cruise, you're probably going to have to handle
Mhm.
situations. And then so often the mindset is, I'll just call the cruise line and cancel. You're already after your final payment. Their terms are very clear. It's unfortunate, and um, there's not really exceptions that can be made. I had an incident with a client just a couple of weeks ago that was very tragic. Last minute cruise, they booked with their friends,
Right.
and the husband was in a motorcycle accident.
Oh
Uh,
gosh.
Horrific. It was, very hit or miss on whether or not he was going to survive, and thank God he did.
Oh
But
God. Yeah. That's
they
awful.
chose not to book the insurance.
Hmm.
They had to cancel. They were well past final payment, and then
Hmm.
their argument was, how dare you only give us taxes and fees back? It's like, I mean,
Oh,
firstly, it's not me. If I
right.
had the power, I would refund every penny. I don't.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't get the customer's money. Nothing comes to me. Everything is booked directly with the cruise line, and
Hmm.
we of course escalated and tried, and our business development manager for that cruise line was at the director level. We, with
Hmm.
our agency profile and with our partners, we usually have some of the higher up partners that we work with. But even that said, a director level with a major cruise line couldn't override that policy. And
Right.
we offered them travel insurance because they were traveling with a
Hmm.
child. We recommended, one of our partners has $0 premiums for dependent minors. So
Hmm.
that's awesome. Your kids are free and they're covered. Um,
Hmm.
they declined that, and unfortunately, it resulted in a financial loss. But like I said, thank God the husband is recovering. It's going to be a
Yeah.
long and slow recovery.
Hmm.
Um, but that situation is something where they wouldn't have to be worried about that. They would instantly have gotten everything refunded back to them from the insurance
Hmm.
provider, and
Yeah.
that would have been a much simpler process to them rather than now having to struggle in this time.
Yeah. It's a double loss, isn't it? I mean, I know it's different for everybody, but in your experience, and I know I'm putting you on the spot here, so I really apologize. But roughly how much average is travel insurance?
Ballpark rule of thumb, think about 8% of your
Right.
fare. Some of them are a little bit more. It's going to depend on the statistics of the traveler. In almost every single instance, you're always best getting a third party policy through your travel agent. The
Mhm.
only time
Mhm.
that I recommend getting a cruise line insurance policy is if you are, say, exceptionally elderly,
Mhm.
or traveling with a family and you have some of the members that are quite elderly. And that's
Mhm.
because independent insurance on that is so exorbitant and expensive. The reason that it's not with the cruise line is they have large group policies, and they aggregate it. The reason that the 20-year-old is paying $300 and the 90-year-old is paying $300 is because on their own, the 20-year-old would be paying $50 for the insurance, and the
Right.
90-year-old would be paying 1,200. Well, it's kind of like Social Security. They're doing law of averages.
Right.
All of the lower risk people are paying much higher insurance premiums with the cruise lines to offset and aggregate the uses of the much higher risk travelers. So that's
Interesting.
it,
Yeah.
it
Okay.
is it is because a lot of people don't see
Mm.
that it's done that way. They just think, oh, insurance is $300 a person. Well,
Mhm.
it doesn't have to be.
Right.
And if you are a family, multi-generational family with the grandparents and the parents and the kids, um, I usually would take a look at the situation, run quotes, recommend the parents and the kids get their own policy, get the kids free coverage, put the
Right.
grandparents on the cruise line policy
Right.
if necessary there, and then they have some levels of coverage.
Yeah. So I'm smiling, and that's all really good advice. And you know what? I'm going to pull that transcript and we're going to put this written. I'm going to actually
Mhm.
write this in a blog because I think it's really important for people to see. But our favorite person is watching. It's Emma Cruises.
Oh,
Emma's watching. Emma actually introduced me to Dan, so I
yes.
it's her fault. And
Welcome, Emma.
she's put this, Dan. She's asking you a question. How does it feel to be the record holder of having the most Captain Hudsons in a room?
It felt nice. When I took them to get them shipped at the UPS store, the guy at the counter said, "It's Hudson." So I brought a big bag, 175 Hudsons to get put
No
up
way.
into a box. And I've done a lot of business with that location, and they're familiar with our partnerships, and they were big
Right.
fans of Emma. So he was really excited to be a part of getting all of those over to Mercy ships. So,
Yes.
but
So I am going to put a link here because I wasn't ready. I think everyone should head over to Emma Cruises. I'm just going to put it right here. And let me just put it in the comments. So let's just take a moment. I know this isn't the topic, but I just wanted to take a moment just to explain why we're talking about Cuddly Toys of Hudson. If people aren't aware, um, Emma created these fabulous Cuddly Toys of Hudson. Her cat is always on her, usually, sometimes on her live streams, right? And it was a charity. Yeah, it's just super cute. Oh, there's three now. I didn't
yeah, and
realize
then
this. Oh my God.
got
Yeah.
my original one here. So
You got the
version one.
original 4. Okay. So basically, what it's about is that Emma created these cuddly toys. She put a lot of work and effort into it, and all the proceeds go to charities. They go to Mercy Ships. And I just put in the comments here to visit Emma Cruises. It's a great charity. Just go on there. And actually, she's done a book, and I believe there's a wait list. Let me just check. Yeah, you need to join the wait list. She has worked tirelessly with a partner to create a book alongside the Hudson Cuddly Toy series, and it's super interesting. It's for kids. There's not a book out there like that. There's no cruise books for kids, and there are so many kids cruising, not on their own, obviously. They cruise with their family. And yeah, so definitely. Oh, you're welcome, Emma. We love what you do. You work so, so hard. Yeah, we love you. I hurt my finger. We love you. And Claudette's here. She loves all the versions of Captain Hudson's. How many do you have, Claudette? Probably as many as Dan. So how many did you send to Mercy Ships?
So we had 175 that got sent off.
Wow.
172 of them were ordered and drop shipped to us, and 3 of them we had a client reach out and they wanted to donate their existing ones that they had. So they just directly mailed us their 3 Hudsons. So Mercy Ships received 173 of the version 4s, 1 version 3, and 1 version 2.
Nice. Great. I wonder if there's any more. Do you have any inside information?
As far as like a next version coming out,
Yeah.
or I believe that there is a wait list for version 5. If there's not, then maybe
Really?
there should be. But I know I was talking with some people in the Facebook groups, and I told them explicitly I cannot confirm that the next one's not a ninja.
Oh,
So yeah, again, I can't say whether or not it will be a ninja or not, but I cannot confirm that it's not.
I want a ninja. I want a ninja now. Now you said that, I want a ninja.
Yeah, maybe version 5, maybe version 55.
Oh, yeah, let's keep
So
going. So Claudette said
yeah.
she's got one from you. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah.
Yes, I
So,
did ship one to Claudette. For
oh,
those who
nice.
don't know, Claudette is our operations manager at Travel with Brigitte. She's been phenomenal, and she takes care of everything that I need help with, which is a lot.
She is amazing. Your whole team is amazing, actually. Janice just joined the group, so we got Janice in the group today. So, and Janice is actually going to contribute. So, you guys got any questions about? See, I don't know about booking a cruise, or all I know about travel insurance is that you need to get it, because I don't know if you know this, Dan. I've had to use my travel insurance twice. So, yeah, yeah, that's not great news, is it? I mean, so the first time was my husband. We went to bed the night before, woke up the next day, he couldn't move. Just freak. His back was twisted. He was in agony, couldn't move, so he couldn't go. And that was in the morning of us flying. So we had to claim on the insurance. And can I just say, by the way, claiming, so easy. So, so easy. It's not,
Good.
you don't have to argue. You don't have to do none of that. You just produce, we had to get a doctor's note, so we got
Mhm.
that. Of course, you have to get a little bit of, you have to get some proof. And it was it's no problem. They were super helpful. I dealt with a person. They emailed me. I didn't even have to fill in a long form. So easy. And then recently I lost my passport. Everybody knows about
Right.
that. Um, and actually I just got paid out, and it's not even been a month yet. So I just got paid. So I will never ever. In fact, I'm going to upgrade my insurance because I'd have liked to have got more back because there was more expenses, but I got the gold variation. So next time I'm going to get the platinum for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad it was an easy process for you. It very much depends on the insurance provider.
Right.
Some of them are pretty rough. Like in the US, I'm not going to mention names, but the primary servicer of all of the mainline cruise insurance policies
Hmm.
is notoriously bad for intentionally declining claims and
Mm.
forcing you to fight them. And that's just
That's not
their
fair.
process. They automatically
Mm.
deny it, and then when someone fights it, then they actually take a look at it. And it's unfortunate because I had to go
Yeah.
through that process when my father passed away, and it took me almost six
Oh,
months
that's
to
really bad.
get anything back because he had a Panama Canal cruise booked for a couple weeks after his passing, and I
Mhm.
had to jump through so many hoops, and they wouldn't um, take a look at the data, and then we got the death certificate, and then they needed the final death certificate, which took like 8 months from the county because they were doing back end labs, and it was a nightmare, but eventually finally got it done, partially anyway. So
Mhm.
I would always say work with your travel agent, get a third party provider. um, it's not something that you want to short out on. Does
Right.
it suffice to have an Amex insurance, which is generic, so that's through your credit card? Some credit cards do provide some levels of travel insurance. It is not comprehensive. It is not sufficient at all. If
Okay.
you're going to go on a road trip a couple counties over, go to the beach,
Mhm.
that's something where something like that, if you lose your luggage, could come into play. If you're leaving the country, if you're doing a major trip, if you're bearing major expense, absolutely not. You'll want either a
Mm.
comprehensive annual plan or a
Mhm.
trip based plan.
Mhm.
And the reason is a lot of these generic credit card travel insurances, one, only would apply if you use that specific card for those purchases and the items leading up to that. And
Mhm.
two, uh, if you have something like a lost or damaged luggage, you would have to definitively prove how or why or when. And
Mm.
the cost of that, the replacement costs, show receipts. You could have bought this piece of luggage 5 years ago, and
Mm.
it's just a lot more hoops to jump through
Mhm.
versus an established travel insurance company.
Mhm.
And they're usually better to work with. We have a number of partners that are great that we work with, and claims have been simple and easy, like you described, versus
Mhm.
working with the major cruise line providers, which are not as simple and easy. So
Mhm.
that would be my advice on that.
Okay.
Every
Thank
policy is
you.
different. Read the detailed terms, but
Yeah.
as a generic, oh, I'm protected because my credit card, I would not trust it.
Okay. Okay. Great advice. I have been asked that before. I wish I remember the um, company I got asked it and I didn't know the answer. So in terms of the companies you work with, can you say who you work with, or do you shop around for the best, depending on the age of the traveler, the details of the traveler,
Mhm.
where they're traveling to? Do you then shop around for travel insurance for people?
So we do shop around. We do have a number of providers. The main ones that we work with are going to be Chubb and Arch and Allianz,
Mm, okay.
or some people call it Alianza. I don't know. But those are our main ones. We do have another supplemental partner that we do when we're booking UK trips. So
Right.
some of the policies in the UK are, in order to cruise, you have to have £2 million sterling in
Yeah.
coverage
Yeah.
for medical. In
Yeah.
the US, that's just not really something that happens often. So if we book a US traveler on, say, P&O, and then they're subject to some of these restrictions, we'll
Yeah.
get them a regular comprehensive plan and then a supplemental high dollar that they can print out and prove, that they're covered and they have it.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
we'll go that route. It's not very expensive to do that. They
Okay.
are essentially a backup plan to your primary, and
Mhm.
that's what their structure and design is for. Very
Mhm.
rarely would someone in a situation like that incur
Mhm.
a medical expense more than your primary coverage.
Right.
A lot of them nowadays on the very low end, you're at 50,000. The kind of the higher end in the U.S., you're at 500,000 for the medical, sometimes up to $1 million. But
Mhm.
one of the other things that's important about these is evacuation and repatriation and
Yeah.
all of that stuff that
Yeah.
your credit card policy is not going to cover.
Right.
So if you, even if you have a minor incident in a foreign country and you're in the clinic and you just miss the ship departing, could only be a couple $1,000s in medical bills, but it could also be a couple thousand in getting back home.
Yeah.
Flights,
Yeah.
hotels, taxis. In your
Mhm.
case with lost passports, if that happens in, Mexico or Colombia or South America, you might think, oh, well, I lost my passport. I have to go to the embassy. Your
Mhm.
embassy might be a 3 or 4 or 5 hour taxi ride away.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
that's things that people don't consider. It's
Well,
your
yeah.
days to get there, days to
Mhm.
wait, days to
Mhm. Mhm.
to
Mhm.
travel and get things sorted. So
Yep.
it's definitely something that the minuscule cost of a proper insurance plan
Yep.
is worth having.
Absolutely. Well, in my case, I couldn't change my flight. And I'm gonna. Well, maybe I'll ask your advice. I haven't. I just got no customer service really from the airline that I came in on and the airline that I was supposed to fly back to the UK on. They at the service desk, BA said that they didn't have the capability to change my flight. So I said, so what do you do in these situations when
Mm,
I'm here? I'm not a no-show. I'm here. And
right.
I've given you, I think it was 3.5 hours warning that I knew I couldn't get on the flight because I lost my passport. And they didn't know what to do. I was like, what do I do? So they gave me this phone number to call, and I couldn't call it on my phone for some reason. And I said, you have a service phone. So you know, if you want me to talk directly to your company, you must have a service phone. They didn't. So she ended up, bless her, she was trying. For me, this is a company mistake. So she
Mm,
gave me her phone, mobile phone, her personal mobile phone, dialed the number for me because obviously it was a US number.
right.
And I was with this guy for an hour and a half, nearly 2 hours. 2 hours. He couldn't figure out what to do. He didn't know what to do.
Wow.
He just didn't. And in the end, they were closing the desk. So I had to, and I've got a picture of me backstage in Seattle outside the BA admin office, sitting on a chair, gone through security. And I was sitting in this chair with this girl's mobile phone. Bless her, she let me use the phone. And then in the end, he came back, he said, well, you're now a no-show. I'm I'm like, well, I've been on the phone with you for nearly 2 hours. So and then I couldn't argue with him. I just was like, well, so I'm going to write to BA. I don't know what they
Mm,
can do for me, but I just felt like it was a bit, get someone who can provide a service phone. So I couldn't change the flight. So my point is, my costs were, I had to, uh, and you know what? The government website for the UK was brilliant. It was a form. I filled it out. They were extremely clear, managing my expectations. They told me exactly what they needed. I filled it out. There was no problems with that. I could have, and the nearest embassy was San Francisco from Seattle. So that's important to note. There's not sometimes it's an embassy and sometimes it's a consulate. It's a service that they provide in various different hubs in the US, but not every city has it. The closest one was San Francisco. I had to research that. And that was complicated. So I'm going to write a blog about that. I'm going to write loads of blogs. And then I had to, so I lost that flight. I knew I had to book another flight home. So that was an expense. I had to cut a long story short because it's long. I had to get that. It got approved. I had to book an appointment in San Francisco, which luckily I got the next day. I got on a flight from Seattle to San Francisco. And this is a good point to note, because I would not have been able to travel if I didn't have my driver's license. So within the domestic US, you don't need a passport to travel. I know you know that.
Right.
But in the UK, I think you do need a passport. So I was surprised to find that out, because I was going to have to pay to have the passport couriered to me, which, to your point, would have took up to 6 days. That's a hotel for 6 days, 5 or 6 nights,
Yeah.
Food, overheads, more money. So the costs just ramp up. I mean, I lost my passport, but there's lots of different incidences where, you might have to disembark the ship, go to a nearby hospital, get accommodation, stay there overnight, pay for it. There's lots of costs, right?
And then book new flights home too.
And then book new
It's
flights home. So I'm not 100% financially recouped, but it has taught me that I will make sure I am, but I'm capped out at what they can pay me. So it's black and white, completely black and white. This is what you get if you lose your passport. This is what you get if they lose your. Oh, and my luggage got lost as well. So yeah. So yeah, I guess the moral of the story is to absolutely 100% get travel insurance, not just any travel insurance, but talk to someone like you or your team or your own cruise planner or your travel agent, and make sure it's comprehensive. Or at least if you do it online, make sure you read every single thing, because yes, it's long. There are a lot of caveats that mean that they don't have to pay you, right?
there are a lot of them have different loopholes built in. Most of the policies that we work with are very consumer focused. Cruise line
Right.
policies, like I mentioned, that aforementioned not to be named company, their structure is put in loopholes, do everything we can to avoid it, and even to the point where, oh well, your policy was for the cruise, you didn't make your flight, that was before the cruise left, so nothing's covered.
Yeah.
Like you
Right.
got to have everything in there. So the way that we do it when we book policies for people is the minute you walk out your front door to the minute you get back.
Right.
Anything in between, those are your covered dates. That's how we span and run these policies. And if you're someone who travels a lot, like myself, both on work, business, or travel fun, I have the top tier of annual plans that I use, and then
Right.
for expensive trips that I do, I'll get a kind of bottom tier trip specific plan. The reason I
Cool.
do it that way is because the trip specific plans are designed to cover 100% of your financial cost for that trip, because the plan is sized exactly to that trip. Whereas the annual plans is, I think, $4,000 for a trip incident. So some of
Right.
the cruises that you do, like in April, I did Harmony of the Seas 7-night cruise in a Crown Loft suite.
Right.
I went solo, so I had 2 bathrooms all to myself in my cabin, but that was more than a $4,000 trip. So if something
Right.
happened,
Yeah.
I had
Makes
a
sense.
policy on
Yeah.
that trip that would cover me financially.
Yeah.
Whereas when I do maybe for my day job a business trip, I went to Washington State for a couple days last week. That is much below the $4,000 annual plan. So my annual plan covered that. And
Okay.
your annual insurance plans, most of them will cover any time that you have an overnight more than 100 miles from your home. So it doesn't have to be some big extravagant trip. You could, drive a couple cities over to hang out with
Right.
a friend or go to the beach for a weekend. And if something happens, if you get delayed and you miss your hotel, you're covered. If someone, breaks into your car and steals your luggage,
Right.
you're covered. If you
Right.
drop your luggage or you slip on something,
Right.
if you don't have, depending on the
Oh.
qualifies for travel insurance, and
Mm-hmm.
you have an injury, even in your own country, your travel insurance could cover those costs.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, being on the end of it, I cannot advocate it more. I cannot. I mean, first of all, and to your point with the person you spoke about just recently, that unfortunately the husband had a motorcycle accident. You're dealing with that, and at the same time the heartache of losing that money and also losing that trip, because that trip that we had booked over Christmas, when my husband just woke up and his back was out, we got all of our money back, and so we were able to just book when he was better, and we
Mhm.
we had a great time. So I got every single penny back, every single penny. So that was good. But yeah, I'll look a bit closer next time when I go long distance. But I put your website up here because I actually think that you're an amazing travel agent. You're an independent travel agent, right? You're not yet, you are able, I think, to do, you've got more freedom. And I just love the fact that your team works so hard to get not only the right travel agent, but travel insurance, but also the right trip
Mhm.
for the family's need or the couple's need or a solo traveler. You're just so good at what you do. I cannot recommend you enough. I've put your website up there. We're going to wrap it up in just a minute, but I just want to just double check here if there's any more comments. We've had lots of questions. We're a little bit lagging in. I'm just going live into Instagram for the first time, so I think I've got to look afterwards, but most of the questions came from the private Facebook group. If you're interested in joining the private Facebook group, we do provide a lot of exclusive information in there, and it's just Cruise Shop Save on Facebook. And then we've got the YouTube channel. If you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe. And Dan, I know you're an extremely busy man. And you've got to feed all those bears. Coming up to lunchtime. I just want to say a massive thank you. But if anyone's got any questions or wants to explore travel insurance, even if you've already booked your cruise or you've already booked your trip, definitely contact Dan and his team at Travel with Brigitte, and they will definitely help you out. Yeah. Any last words, Dan, before we sign
Um,
off?
no, just looking forward to help people. We do have 2 full-time and 1 part-time agent, as well as a
Nice.
couple contract agents. So we have 7-day-a-week coverage.
Wow. Okay.
Bookings at travelwithbrigitte.com is the best way to reach us and get a hold of us. And the team is in that mailbox every single day, getting support out.
Yeah. Yeah, I know every time I email, every time I'm bothering you guys, you get back to me straight away, which is amazing. So I just want to say a massive thank you for everything that you do, including your time today to give us this great information. I'm going to chop this up and put it out onto social media. I'm going to write a blog. We're going to leave it up for a while. So if anyone's watching this after we've been live, please ask questions. Dan's got visual on all the comments so we can get back to you. But whatever you do, travel safe and travel with travel insurance. Thank you, guys. Thanks for watching. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.